When the host asked his name, his voice was soft, almost shy. He introduced himself politely, with that gentle Filipino warmth that feels like a smile even when words are few. The judges leaned forward, curious. They asked where he was from, and he explained he came from a small village in the Philippines, a place where opportunities were rare and survival was a daily challenge. His family was poor, he said, but they were rich in love. That sentence alone already cracked something in the room. He spoke about his parents working odd jobs, about days when food was not guaranteed, about nights when he would sing just to forget the hunger in his stomach. Music, he said, was his escape. He didn't learn it in a school. There were no lessons, no fancy equipment. He learned by listening, by watching, by feeling. He learned because music was the only thing that made the world feel a little less heavy. Then came the question every talent show contestant faces. What will you sing today? He paused, took a deep breath, and answered with a song no one expected from a boy like him. Hotel California, a few eyebrows raised. Some audience members exchanged glances. Hotel California is not an easy song. It's legendary, it's emotional, it's risky. And coming from a young, poor boy from a remote village, it felt almost unbelievable. One of the judges smiled politely, another nodded with curiosity, and one looked skeptical. The room wasn't convinced yet. The music started. At first, it was just the gentle strum of the guitar, clean, controlled, confident, and then he began to sing. From the very first line, something changed in the air. His voice was not loud. It was not flashy. But it was deep, raw, and painfully honest. It carried a texture that you cannot teach, a texture that only comes from living through hardship. Every word felt lived, not memorized. It didn't sound like a boy trying to impress judges. It sounded like a soul telling its story through someone else's lyrics. The audience fell silent. As he moved through the verses, his confidence grew. His voice soared, then softened, riding the melody like he had been born to sing this song. The judges' expressions changed one by one. The skepticism faded. The polite smiles disappeared. What replaced them was shock. One judge slowly covered her mouth, eyes filling with tears. Another leaned back, shaking his head in disbelief. This was not supposed to happen. This was not how auditions usually go. This was supposed to be just another contestant. But it wasn't. When he reached the chorus, his voice cracked slightly, not from lack of skill, but from emotion. And that crack did something powerful. It reminded everyone that this was real. That behind this voice was a boy who had cried himself to sleep, who had dreamed of stages he never thought he would stand on. The camera panned to the audience. People were crying openly, strangers holding hands, some whispering prayers, others simply staring, frozen, afraid to miss even a second. The judges were no longer judges. They were listeners, humans, witnesses. As the song continued, the guitar solo approached. He closed his eyes, fingers moving effortlessly across the strings. Each note was precise, but more than that, each note was emotional. It wasn't just music. It was a release. One judge wiped away tears, clearly overwhelmed. Another leaned toward the golden buzzer, hand hovering, unsure, waiting for the right moment. The tension was unbearable. Then came the final lines. His voice softened again, almost like a goodbye. The last note hung in the air, trembling, before fading into silence. For a second there was nothing. Then the entire theater exploded. The audience jumped to their feet, screaming, clapping, crying. A standing ovation so loud it felt like the walls were shaking. The boy stood there, stunned, eyes wide, breathing heavy, not fully understanding what was happening. The judges stood up too. One judge tried to speak but couldn't. Her voice broke. Tears streamed down her face as she told him that what he had just done was not just a performance, it was a moment. She said she felt his pain, his hope, his heart in every word. Another judge admitted he had underestimated him, and that this performance reminded him why music exists in the first place. Then came the golden buzzer moment. The judge closest to it looked at the boy, then at the audience, then back at the boy. He said something that would echo forever. He said talent can be taught, but soul cannot, and what this boy had was soul. Without another word, he slammed the golden buzzer. The sound rang through the theater like thunder. Golden confetti rained down from the ceiling, covering the stage in shimmering light. The crowd screamed even louder. The boy froze, then dropped to his knees, hands over his face, sobbing uncontrollably. He wasn't crying because he won something. He was crying because for the first time in his life, the world had seen him. The judges rushed to the stage, embracing him. One whispered that his life had just changed forever. Another told him that this was only the beginning. Through tears, he tried to speak. He thanked his parents, his village, his country. He said he sang for everyone who goes to bed hungry, for everyone who dreams but feels invisible. He said he wanted to prove that where you come from does not define how far you can go. The audience cried even harder. Backstage interviews later revealed more of his story. How he used to sing on the streets to earn a few coins. How he practiced with a broken guitar missing strings. How neighbors would gather just to listen because his voice made them forget their problems, even if only for a few minutes. Clips of the performance spread like wildfire across the internet. Millions of views in hours, comments from around the world, people calling it the most emotional audition they had ever seen. Musicians praising his tone, parents hugging their children a little tighter. Dreamers feeling brave again. This wasn't just a viral moment. It was a reminder that talent can come from anywhere, that greatness does not need wealth, that sometimes the most powerful voices come from the quietest places. And as the golden confetti settled and the lights dimmed, one thing was clear. This poor Filipino boy was no longer invisible. His voice had opened a door, just like in the song he sang. And this time, when he walked through it, there was no turning back.